Okay. I did not think about that before I thought about it, but I didn't have time to really look at it until about December 28th.
For a January 1st start?
For a January 1st start, and because the thing is,
Sorry.
I have taken classes in video editing. I know how to edit. But I didn't have time to learn Audacity because I gave myself this deadline and I didn't take the time to do it. So I actually do all our audio editing in Avid, which is ridiculously not what I need to be doing it in, but it's the program I know all the keyboard shortcuts, and I can do it. I can edit the 2 minutes of audio in about 15 minutes. Because my show is scripted, so it's just me reading into a mic, but apparently I breathe like Darth Vader in between sentences. So I have to cut out. I can't listen to it if I don't cut out all of my in between. And especially because my podcast talks about women in STEM fields, so I have sentences that have things where I'm just like, I don't even know what this Latin is. Like, did you know that E. coli is actually the E stands for Escherichia? I did not know that until suddenly I had to say it. And and there's also a lot of like, I can't say the first half of the sentence and the last half of the sentence good together. So I have to edit together, like I did this take really well and this take really well. And so it's just a lot faster for me because I know that program, but that is not the program I should be doing this in. So I would say if you're going to be doing a podcast, you will be needing to do some post-production on your audio. It's almost guaranteed. I listen to podcasts where they don't do any post-production, and those are the ones that really irritate me, and if they didn't have good content, I would stop listening. But anyway.
You might not like Trek Home.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like what we did for ours was good stuff. I was remote on my laptop, usually with my Sennheiser inline mic, my headphones that I use for gaming. And Ben, you see us at the table. He is that whole rig. He takes home, sits back up, and that's what he uses.
First of all, don't use an inline gaming mic.
Yeah, when I first started, I was like,
for film and podcasts,
not too good.
Get a good microphone. In podcasts, that's all that matters. Right. And in film, and I'm sure they said this in film school, audio is more important than video.
Yes.
I can shoot a terrible looking film, and if it sounds good, it can look like look at Clerks. It can look like it's shot for $10,
right.
but you can get into the story if it sounds good.
With video, you can fake that you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
You can, because I did a short in undergrad where we didn't color balance an entire day. I didn't know we didn't color balance the entire day, so everything was blue. Everything was shot that day was blue. Well, it turned out that particular script was like a flashback, a present, and a flash forward kind of script. So we hadn't shot the flash forward yet, so we color balanced the wrong way so that everything was orange, everything in the present is correct, everything in the past is blue. Hey, look at that, we did that on purpose.
But you can't,
totally on purpose.
for sound, you can't, you must have a decent mic.
Yeah.
You must know what the room sounds like. You must record before you do anything. If you have a stand, and even if you have to have your actors say their lines in their spot,
right.
Record it, listen to it after it's been recorded, make sure it's what you want, be aware of the echo and the you have
right.
to know the sound you don't want to find out what your sound was like when you're editing, because you can't, and again, this is another production note, if you're trying to decide whether it's too quiet or too loud, it's too loud, turn it down. Mm-hmm. Because you can fix sound that's too quiet, cannot fix distorted sound very well. So like this is all stuff where again, budgeting, we haven't talked at all about budgeting,
right.
But that's, if you have to choose whether or not to get the best camera or the best mic, you know what, you can get a 60D for $500 and it'll do a great job of making good pictures. Mm-hmm. Spend the extra, $100, because really you can get a good shotgun mic for $150. Don't get the $50 shotgun mic.
And the thing for me is I always make sure that I budget in for a good sound guy, because I know sound is one of my weaknesses. And I can have a guy that then, and if you have time, preferably take your sound guy to your location before you shoot. Maybe even before you've really secured the location, because he will go in there. I was on a set one time. The director had picked this location. He thought it was perfect. He absolutely loved it. There was no way he was ever going to let go of shooting at this location. We got there and the sound guy was like, we're shooting on a basketball court under an underpass. Are you kidding me? And I mean, they managed to make it work because they cut a lot of the dialogue out of the scene. Actually, is what
But
they
then you have
doing.
to change the whole scene to do it. So
But
it's-
yeah,
you have
and
to know
it's-
that ahead of time.
That's a thing to really think about. And again, going back to my podcast, if I had done this right, like right now, what I'm planning on doing is trying to do a Kickstarter to do a remastered version, so that I can hire the sound guy that did Good Game to actually like help me make, like, possibly re-record quite a bit of it, but also do some audio engineering on it. But I did not listen to the room as well as I should have when I got set up. And especially this summer, my neighbors have their air conditioning running constantly. And so I only have 5 minutes to record if I want this thing to go up, tomorrow. I have to record it right now. There's no way I'm gonna have any other time to do it but right that second. And I can turn off my AC all I want, but if the neighbor downstairs has theirs running, there's gonna be a hum and I can't do anything about it. And it's just gonna have to be there. And that's extremely frustrating. So I would sit and think about like where you record in your house. Like if I had done this right, if I had taken the time, I probably should have taken my mic and my setup and walked around to the different rooms in my house, gone in the closet if you have to. Because I've heard of people that just like sit in their closet to do it. Bathrooms are probably too echoey, but there are other ways to deal with that, hanging blankets or towels or whatever. There's a lot of great tutorials on how to set up a room in your house. It's like sort of a cheap sound studio. There's some people that actually set up like basically like C-stands and just hang a blanket over it and sit under it. But that is something to sort of just walk around and test and think about. I should have done that. And so then I wouldn't be in this situation where I'm probably going to have to re-record 200 episodes. Which is going to hurt, but I'm doing it for the children. So,
For the children.
yeah, I want to
So I can
inspire
cook them
young
later.
women.
Wait, what?
But yeah, I mean, that's something that I think is really helpful to think about where you're going to record before you get started. And, if you do end up where you're going to have to record in a closet sitting under a pile of coats or something, then you're going to think about, like, when do you want to do it? I cannot record if my husband is home. It doesn't matter if he's in the other room. For some reason, I'm putting this podcast out on the internet for anybody in the world to listen to. Like, I don't know what our listening numbers are lately, but, like, I don't care. But when I'm recording it, just the thought of anybody being within, like, a 200-foot radius, like, freaks me out. And it makes I can tell that I deliver it differently. So that's another thing to think about. Now, this is obviously going to be a little bit different if you're doing like a conversational or a roundtable podcast where it's like you talking with a friend or a co-host. There's a few things that are a little less important. But, those are all things.
I would just say matching sound. That's the one thing. It's if you have two people with terrible sound, you'll accept it. Mm-hmm. But if you have one person with good sound and another person who sounds totally different than the other person,
right.
It's you become instantly aware, and this is kind of true in anything that you're making. You don't want you want your audience to forget they're listening to a podcast or watching a movie, or that you want them to just be emotionally involved or intellectually involved with what you're doing. You don't want them to think about your production process. The goal is for them to forget about your production process. And if you're reminding them of your production process, then you're failing. Can we jump real quick, because we only have 5 minutes left, to film budgeting?
Film budgeting.
Film budgeting.
Yeah. So this is, with my documentary, I did it the wrong way. In that I decided that I wanted to make this movie, and that the time was now, and I had to do it now, and there's a tournament in 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna have to do it. I spent a lot of my own money because there was no other way to do it except put it on my credit card. I took a lot of really bad ghostwriting jobs that year. I found out that I was totally willing to ghostwrite someone else's screenplay because it paid well. And so it really put me in a place that was not a happy place because I did not think about the budget before I was committed and already in it. Fiction films end up being a little differently because if you just can't do it that way. Yeah. And again, one of the things with Good Game, the first few tournaments I did, I hired people that either would work for very, very cheap or deferred pay. I didn't do any points on the end or anything like that because that was never gonna work for me. But it didn't. You get what you pay for. I mean, you get what you pay for. And so when I finally got my cinematographer who did 90% of the film, Stephen Tringali, when he came on, he did agree to do it for a low pay situation because he had seen some of the footage and he had seen some of like what I was trying to do, and so he could believe in the project at that point. And we were friends from film school. So when he came on, my film jumped in quality. Excellent. Because he knew what he was doing, he was very good, he was consistent.
But the flip side of this is that you know, honestly, what my brain is thinking when you're talking, you go, you get what you pay for. The other half of this is that, you know, the film that I'm making next, this is all the money I got. This is all there is. This is all there is. So you have to know that at the script level. If you're writing a script or having somebody write your script, you have to know that at the script level. If you're developing your own project, you need to know what your budget is. You need to be thinking. You need to write out a story. Take 2 hours and lined paper and write out your story, a basic beat by beat, before you write your whole script, and go, okay, about how much do I think this is going to cost?
And be very realistic and overestimate.
Yeah.
I was on a feature film shoot. I was just shadowing the script supervisor. This was when I was in training. And they had intentionally written the script to be one location, unknown actors, shooting on location in Baltimore where it was cheap. You know, they had done all this stuff to make sure that it was a cheap movie. I mean, it was $500,000, but which is, you know, in my mind, not a cheap movie. But they still ran out of money. They ran out of money on the final, like before the final day. They could not shoot anymore. They had gone over schedule every single day of the shoot. They had gone over schedule and bumped things over. So they had things that they literally could not tell their story without shooting, that they had no money to shoot. They ended up sticking crew members on their last paychecks, which ended up getting the union involved. That movie still has not come out.
Oh, as an actor, I have, back when I acted more than I directed, I would say half of the projects that I was involved with never got released. Mm-hmm. And the reason is they ran out of money. And, you know, I hate to put it this way, they were so focused on doing things right. Mm-hmm. They had a big set and a big crew and everything they, you know, and professionally catered. And, you know, and the fact is that if you've only got $15,000, know where you're spending your money. Don't go over. Don't buy the $5,000 computer when you know that you can get a computer for $900 that will handle most of what you need to do. You do not need to shoot on a, you know, whatever the new 5D Mark III, whatever you do not need to shoot on a Red. Like I can tell you, if you're making a movie for $20,000 and your goal is to release it in HD, nobody gives a shit if it's in 4K. Like nobody cares. Like get your movie made. Don't fail to make your movie because you need to have the best of the best computers shooting the best of the best. Like you know, if you know what your budget is, know where you need to spend it and what you're paying for. And I've seen so many movies fall apart at the pre-production level because they're like, oh, we just can't make the thing we're going. And I look at their budget and I go, are you crazy? Like, what? Why did you spend where you spent?
Well, and that's the thing where it's like those articles that you read for like makeup or clothes or something where it's like, where do you spend and where do you save? Like, there are line items on the budget where you want to get the best thing that you can get.
Yes.
That's where I say hire a professional script supervisor, hire a professional first AD. Those are people that are going to save your life and save you money. Your PAs? A PA most of the time is sitting and making sure nobody steals the C-stands and things like that, and they're running and fetching. It's a great learning job. It's great to have them on set, but you can use film school students for that, and they are looking for opportunities to get on sets and work. So that's a place where you can save. And something like your camera. Yes, you get what you pay for with your camera, but we shot this entire thing on a thing called an EX3, which was a Sony camera that was like just barely above the consumer level. We ended up spending too much money on it because I should have bought one instead of renting one for a year, but that's another story. And that's another thing to look at. Do you want to rent your equipment or do you want to buy your equipment? And unfortunately, I think we're out of time, and we could probably talk about this forever.
Yeah, no, we could go another hour. Look, hit either one of us up. We have tables out
Yeah,
there.
we
We have
are-
websites. We have Facebook pages. Like Mary Ratliff, Justin Timpane. Look us up.
Yeah. We are across from each other in the exhibitors hall, like a little
Yeah.
catty corner, but we are there.
My table's screaming. Every time you touch my table, it's actually literally screaming. So
So that's a good hook.
well, that was deliberate. But thanks, guys.
You should stop chaining your son up underneath your table.
I know. Well, he and I are gonna have.